Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Oscar Buzz. Trevor here, and today we are reviewing She Said. This is the latest film from Maria Schrader, previously directed I'm Your Man. It stars Carey Mulligan and Zoe Kazan amongst just a really, really large ensemble, but they're the two predominant leads, even though for some reason Carey Mulligan is being campaigned and supporting. And this movie is, it's a journalism film. Harkens back a lot to Bombshell or Best Picture winner Spotlight. And I think it builds on what a lot of those films did well, and then also regresses in some ways. So let's get into it. So this is, as I'm sure most of you know, it's a film about the Harvey Weinstein case and the reporters who broke it at the New York Times. And just as a journalism procedural film, it works well. It works about as well as you'd expect. It never does anything that really pushed me over the edge, that really blew my mind. It never did anything entirely unexpected. I guess everything was just very, very straightforward. Though I think that is what you want from a film like this, with as delicate a topic as She Said is addressing. You don't want it to be messy. I guess you don't want things to be left open for interpretation. You want this to be a very straightforward and objective film. However, I think that from a narrative perspective, that does leave it feeling a little bit lacking, and a little bit like it was without a bit of a punch. However, where I think some of that punch, some of that, those big moments lack in the writing, I really do think that the performances make up for it. Carey Mulligan is absolutely fantastic in this film. Absolutely fantastic. Zoe Kazan's a good anchor, I guess, if we're gonna call her the sole lead. And she's very, very good. But I think she definitely gets overshadowed by Carey Mulligan, and then also just Jennifer L. and Samantha Morton crushing with supporting performances, the real supporting performances of this film. Just really, really incredible performances. And I've seen people complaining about the cinematography of this, saying it was really flat. I, for one, really liked the cinematography, and it was a lot better than what I was expecting. It had a really nice, modern industrial feel. It captured New York in some really interesting ways. It was very clear and precise, which you see a lot in digital cinematography, but it wasn't, clear and precise in a way that was annoying, to the point where it felt glossy. It still felt very dirty while also being clear. So it isn't the most showy, but cinematography doesn't have to be showy. It was still very, very well shot. Especially a lot of the interiors in New York Times, how it plays with the colors, red, white, black, gray. All very, very nice. Overall, I do think that this film has a lot going for it. It tackles really, really important issues, and this is a film that should be seen and should be talked about. It's an important movie. I just wish that it gave me a little bit more. It is not going to be a film that I am aching to revisit. It's not a film that I'm excited to be thinking about more. It is very much a film that I watch, I recognize, well done, well made, and I can kind of move on with my life. And I think part of that is also just the extreme recency of the story. I'm young, and even I remember this happening. I was 13, 14 when all of this was breaking. I don't know. I just feel like that recency, it didn't give any revelations, or anything that truly made me, take a step back, slide back in my seat, lean forward in my seat. It was all just very flat narratively. Which is okay. This narrative doesn't require anything flashy. Just for my personal taste in film, I would have liked a bit more. But as I mentioned, Carey Mulligan supremacy. Let's get her the Oscar. Speaking of Oscars, let's talk about awards. I think that this is pretty strong for a Best Picture nomination. I think that can very easily happen. Supported nicely by an adapted screenplay nomination, which I think is almost a sure thing, considering how kind of weak and loose the category is. And I do think that Carey Mulligan can get in, and I also think that she can be win competitive. She has a fantastic Oscar clip, and that is what you need to win an Oscar. You need a great Oscar clip, a great Oscar scene, and she has it. She's in a bar, and she screams at a dude who is just being a douche, and it's great. It's an applause moment in the theater. She has her Oscar clip. I think that she can be win competitive. Do I think that she's winning? No, but I think that she's going to be in the conversation. And I think that that screenplay supporting combo is going to be enough to get She Said in the picture. It's definitely looking at stuff like a PGA nom and Critics' Choice. I don't think we'll get into Golden Globe or BAFTA, but we'll see if it can ride into picture off of Critics' Choice and PGA. As far as other potential noms, Nicholas Britell gives an absolutely fantastic score here. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, and what else would you expect from Britell but just some really, really nice subtle piano work here. Really helps along a lot of the emotional beats. There's a piece of the score that like really, really stuck with me. It is where we are just resting on these visuals of a hotel room, and there's an audio recording playing over the top of it. And I thought that that was actually some of the most effective moments of the film. And Bertel's piano is so good, so good, so soft and just supporting, but it's really, really fantastic. And I guess to kind of get into another criticism of the film, though, it feels like it really wants to be a documentary, and I feel like the moments where it functions like a documentary, like the moment I was speaking of, I feel like those are when it's at its strongest. All of the interview stuff that all works. There are some like subplot stuff with like Carey Mulligan and Zoe Kazan's house life that just really doesn't go anywhere and felt like it was kind of useless and kind of just arbitrary plot devices to get us to care about their characters rather than doing that in a way that felt a bit more natural for the narrative. So that didn't work for me. But returning to Oscars, outside of those four things, I don't really know what else this can get in for. I mean, Zoe Kazan is just, has to go up against such a stacked field in Best Actress. She's probably like in the 10 to 15 range, if I'm being honest. Like I said, she's good in the movie, but she isn't even like one of the top 3 performances in the film. So I would find it really, really hard to believe that she would get into there. So I still do think that this will do well. Like I said, picture, supporting actress, adapted screenplay, potentially a score nomination. I think it's like either just in or just out. So those are my thoughts on She Said. I'm going to be giving the film a 7.5 out of 10. It is in theaters right now. And I'd recommend you watch it. It's a very, very solid film, I think is the best way that it could describe it. But thank you for watching. You can subscribe for more awards content if that is your type of thing, and reviews and all of the like. But until next time, stay safe, everybody, and goodbye.